Hello and welcome. Happy Tuesday to you. Welcome on into my sweet home living. My name is Tracy Campbell. If you love crafting and decorating on a budget with primitive, rustic, or country style, then I'm your girl. Come on in. I love to share decorating ideas with you and fun DIYs that you can do on your own. Come on in and tell me hello. So happy to see you today. And if you're watching on the replay, I would love to know you're here as well. We always love having new friends and seeing our regular friends as well. I go live about once a week, sometimes occasionally twice a week, but I'm so excited to be here today, and I hope that you are ready for another fun primitive fall project. So that's what I've got planned for today, and I'm ready for fall. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready. I'm ready for some cooler temperatures. Not ready for winter, but I'm ready for fall. So come on in, tell me good morning. It's still just a few more minutes of morning here in West Kentucky. It's 11:15 a.m. So excited. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Hey, Miss Shelley, Miss Pamela from Kentucky. Oh my goodness. Tell me what part of Kentucky you're from. Hey, Miss Donna and Liz. Well, last week I showed you guys how to do, we kind of experimented and did that project together. We did we attempted a faux pumpkin bread, and really, to be honest, it kind of turned out like a fake meatloaf. But I did not have a piece of sanding paper with me, and that would have made all of the difference, you guys. If I had taken a piece of sanding paper and smoothed over those ridges, it would have looked like a true loaf. That's okay. We learn as we go. I still think it looks pretty cool. And it smells amazing because we've used coffee, cinnamon, vanilla, and all the things to make it truly prim. Good morning, Miss Phyllis. Hey, Miss Cynthia from Illinois, Pennsylvania. Mimi, so glad y'all are here. Hey, Miss Jennifer. Well, last week I was telling you, you make a bunch of those using that spray insulation foam. And you can just fill all kinds of pans with different things at one time and use up your whole can of foam, right? Well, that's what I did last week. I kind of filled up lots of loaf pans and lots of cupcake size pans. Hey, Miss Sandra. Hey, Miss Mary from Ocean Breeze and Me. Hey, Miss Misty from the Crafty Farmers. Good, Natalie, West Tennessee, new. Welcome. So glad you're here. Big warm welcome to you. Well, I took a muffin pan, East Kentucky, awesome. Hey, Miss Sue, happy Tuesday. All right, I'm going to kind of hide a little bit from you guys. I kind of keep the element of surprise here. Anyway, this was a vintage cupcake tin, muffin tin, whatever you want to call it. And I used some of that spray insulation foam. I meant to bring it to my table to show you guys, but you can go back and watch the faux pumpkin bread video, and you'll get the rundown on how to do that, okay? Thank you, Miss Denise, for spreading us out. Hey, Miss Cynthia, so good to see you too. Hey, Miss Joy, how are you, sweet lady? Arizona. Awesome. Arizona's a beautiful state. Hey, Miss Tarita. All right. So I filled these muffin tins half full with the spray insulation foam, right? Set them aside, let them dry, let them cure. It's been a week. And they have cured. They're hard. I could pull them, probably pull them out of this. If this was a real good non-stick pan, I could work them and pull them out. Now, however, this is kind of a vintagey, and so it doesn't really have much of the non-stick finish on it. So they're not gonna come out as easy. I mean, I can pull them out, but they're not gonna be as pretty on the bottom as if you wanted to pull these out and make these individual. But we are making some primitive style cornbread muffins, making a really cute cornmeal sack to go with it, and I'm really going to show you kind of how to stage it up, hopefully by the end of today's episode. Hey, Miss Sandra. Trina from Missouri. Awesome. So let these cure, and this is what they look like. Now you can see they have a little bit of irregularity to them, right? That's just kind of the nature of the foam. So what you do with that, to make these cornbread muffins, what I do is you could take some scissors, you could take a regular kitchen knife or whatever, and just kind of shave off the irregularities, okay? Now you want a little bit because you kind of want them to look like, you know, muffins, cornbread muffins, they do kind of have a little bit of irregularity to them anyway. Hey, Miss Jean, born in Eastern Kentucky. Welcome. I am from West Kentucky. I've been to Eastern Kentucky quite a few times, but it is a good drive from here. I am from near Owensboro, which is kind of like northwest Kentucky, if you will. And probably many of you are probably familiar with Owensboro. Not far from Evansville, Indiana. Yeah, or Henderson. Hey, Miss Sue, thank you. So all I'm going to do is I'm just taking like a craft knife, an X-Acto knife, and I'm shaving off a little bit of these irregularities of where the foam kind of like bubbled out and made some wonky shapes. I'm just going to kind of smooth them down just a little bit. Well, I'm not going to say smooth. I'm just going to tame them down a little bit. How about that? Because I don't want these to be smooth. I kind of want them to have a little bit of bumpiness under them. I just don't want big bumps. Okay, so they don't have to be perfect. Okay, if you start cutting and you cut a chunk out, that's okay. We can work with that. It's really pretty forgiving. I've already kind of done a test run of two of these to make sure that it was going to kind of work out, and I think we're good. All right, so I've shaved off a little bit of the irregularities. Okay, that's what I'm left with right there. I still could trim off the other one. I still could trim off a little bit right here and kind of make this a little more rounded, and I probably will. Okay, so now, before we go on to anything else, let me show you what we're going to do to turn these into cornbread muffins. Okay, so you guys have seen me use Crayola's Model Magic for lots of different fake bake type projects. Hey, Miss Tanja. Hey, Miss Elizabeth. So that's what we're going to be using today on top of that foam. All right. So I've already got some air dry clay kind of mixed up, but I've left a little piece out to kind of walk you through the process of coloring it and so forth. Anytime you use the Model Magic, you want to condition it, which is just a fancy word of just kind of working it, which it kind of loosens it up, it kind of warms it up, and makes it a little easier to work with. Okay, so if you have grandkids at home, give them something to do, give them something to fidget with. This is a great project for that. Or you can just take it and just knead it, just like you would knead bread. Okay, just work it. All right, get those fine motor skills, some exercise. And that's all I'm doing. I'm sticking my thumbs in them and I'm turning it up and just working it for a few minutes. Hello, Miss Creamy from Maine. How are you? Good, so good to have you all here. All right. Now, I need to color this. Now, I will say you could take, I'm not going to say the easy way, but you could paint this afterwards. However, I feel it's easier to mix the paint in with the Model Magic because it gives you a more uniform color and it eliminates the drying, a little bit of the drying time of the paint, okay? And it looks a little more natural. Just my opinion. You do you, okay? Just here to give you some ideas. Hey, Miss Suzanne from Florida. Savannah, beautiful city, Miss Christy. Beautiful city. All right, so I'm going to use Deco Art. Now, you could use any similar color. It doesn't have to be this, but I know I'll get questions on what brand I used. So that's what I want to show you. Deco Art. And this is called Golden Straw. I'm trying to think of, okay, the color of cornbread muffins, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this paint, and now I'm obviously going to be working with a much larger lump of this. Hey, Miss Liz from Crafty Queens, how are you? A big, larger clump of this, okay? I'm just doing a small to walk you through to demonstrate the process of coloring this, okay? Just put a little bit of this or similar colored paint in make a little well with your thumbs, okay? And dump a little bit of that paint in there. Start slow, and if it's not dark enough, you can add a little bit more. You can add a little bit more until you get the color that you want. If you find out you go a little too dark, what you'll probably want to do is add add a little bit more white to it to kind of tone it down, all right? So then all I do is I take it and I just work it. I just work it carefully, work that paint into the Model Magic. This is our faux dough. Hey, Miss Deborah, how are you? Miss Sue and Denise, Donna, so excited y'all are here. All right, now, with a smaller clump of this, it's a little messier. You might want to wear gloves with this, but this is acrylic paint. It's going to wash off, but just make sure that your surface is protected or whatnot, okay? If you're doing this on your dining room table or whatever, you want to make sure that it's covered, but it will come off. Good morning, Miss Christy, Miss Deanie. Thank you. I'm so glad y'all love them. They're just pennies to make, and they can add so much charm to your primitive or country style decor, and that's why I love them. And you can't just find them anywhere. So if you can create them, you know, you are creating something pretty unique. And these are, I will tell you, if any of you do craft shows or if you sell your creations online, these are hot items that sell really well. They sell really well. And you can make some, some good money on them. Okay, so all I've done is I've just mixed that up, and that's given me just a warm yellow tone. Okay, like a cornbread muffin, honestly. So, and I can tell the more I have worked this faux dough, it's softer and stretchier and much easier to work and manage, all right? So I got just a little bit of paint on my hands, but guess what? A wet wipe, baby wipe, will take that right off. I don't even have to go to the sink, okay? The good thing about using that acrylic paint is that it's very manageable as far as cleanup. Now, don't get it on your clothes or anything. Good morning, Miss Melanie and Tony. Susan, how are you? All right. I've got lots of little props over here on the side that I can't wait to show you all how to work these all together. And you know that when I decorate with things, I'm constantly mixing and matching things that I have made from the past and show you guys how you can reuse them from season to season in different vignettes, okay? We are making, Miss Brenda, we're making some faux primitive style cornbread muffins, and we're even making a cornbread sack to go with it, hopefully, if we get time today. All right, so this is my big clump of dough, faux dough. It's really Crayola's Model Magic, okay? I've just colored it. Now, I'm just going to pinch off a little bit, okay? Whew, sorry about that. My hair's tickling me. Just a little clump, and I'm just going to kind of roll it. And then I'm going to start flattening it out, sort of like a pancake. Hey, Miss Mary. Melanie, how are you? Going to flatten that out and make sort of like a pancake, which, by the way, we have done faux pancakes. I don't have them near me today to show you, but if you've missed those, there is a replay in my video library that you can watch. Hey, Miss Carol, Victoria, and Mary, how are you guys? We've got lots of Marys on today. All right, I've just made a little round pancake size. Okay, about the palm shape of the palm of my hand. Now I have really wide palms, so that may not be an accurate representation, but you get the kind of the idea. So then what I'm going to do, on top of these, I'm going to lay this disc, pancake, whatever, right on top, and then I'm going to start working it down. I'm going to do on this one now, okay? So do you see these I've already done down here? Kind of already gotten a little head start, just a little head start. Now, I'm just going to take that and gently, okay? Gently, because I don't want huge fingerprints in these, okay? Here we go. Woo-hoo. I don't know. You can see what it looks like, but I need to take it all the way down to the top of the muffin tin. So I am going to use my fingers right now, but then I'm going to show you what I do to kind of smooth them down and give them a little bit more of a realistic shape. Now there are tons and tons of different ways you can do this, okay? It probably will depend on what you have available on how you do yours, right? So, you know, if you're creative, you can also get creative with your resources and what you use, right? That's the fun thing about crafting. Just giving someone an idea and then letting them run with it. All right. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to show you what I do to this one. That way, if we run out of time, you'll know the process and you won't have to go all the way to the end of the video to see how I do this. I'm going to take a little bit of this Distress ink. Okay, this is Tim Holtz Ranger brand. You can get it online. You can get it at My lighting looks so funky today. It's making my face, my complexion look really weird. I keep seeing myself in the camera thinking, gosh, my face looks like it's on fire. You can get this at Hobby Lobby, Amazon, all kinds of places. I'm just going to take a real soft bristled brush, and I'm going to get some of that Distress ink on my brush. This is water soluble, so when you're finished, you can just wash out your brush, okay? Ooh, my nose is tickly. All right, so let me show you this. Do you see kind of how, let's compare here. These are the ones that haven't been touched. This is the one I've already worked on, and I've kind of softened the edges. Do you see the difference? I kind of have, like, you can see where I've pressed it, right? I've got little finger indentions there, and it just doesn't look real natural. Thank you, Miss Teresa, for sprinkling us out. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so I'm going to take this, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to go around. Now, it depends on how much ink you get on your brush. If you get too much, just take a wet wipe and slowly dab it off, okay? And it will pull some of that color away from it. All I'm going to do, hey, Miss Grace and Tattered Lace, Miss Monique, how are you? Grabbing some lunch. Aw, so glad you stopped in. I hope you're having a wonderful week. Back to school she goes. She works in the schools. Thank you for stopping in, Miss Monique. All right, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to kind of push up underneath. And that's going to soften those finger indentions around the bottom of my muffin. And it's also going to give that golden color. You all know when you make cornbread, the top is usually pretty light. But down closer to, if you make it in a cast iron or in a muffin tin, down closer to the bottom is where you get your browning to it. Hey, Miss Rhonda, how are you? So I'm going to do that, and as I'm doing it, I'm giving it color, and I'm also softening those edges to make it look a little more realistic. But you kind of have to press it down to the pan first, then take your brush and just stipple it. I think that's what furniture painters call that, stipple. Use it as a stippling brush, okay? And the more you do that, the more it will kind of soften that brown that you're putting on there too. It won't look quite so like painted on there. It'll give you a little bit more of that painted or soft golden baked color on there instead of the painted look. And then you'll just kind of want to feather it. I've gotten it a little too light. Where'd my wet wipes go? Let me get a wet wipe. So what I'm going to do, if I'm getting it a little too dark, I'm going to wet my brush a little bit, okay? Get it a little bit damp, and I think that will also help feather that brown out. Yeah, that softens those bristle marks with that brown, okay? So it doesn't look fake. We want them to look sort of real, right? So I'm just going to dampen my brush just a little bit with that wipe, and then it smooths that brown out. Okay. Now the tops, I'm not going to touch them with a whole lot of color. I do want to give them a little bit of texture though, okay? Now as this air dry clay dries, I called it air dry clay. It's not air dry clay, it's Model Magic. As it dries, the air will begin to kind of shrink it a little bit, okay? And when it does, you may get a few little cracks, okay? Which is good, because if you make real cornbread muffins, they have those cracks in the bread as it rises, right? So this will be perfect, and I'm not going to worry about it if it cracks, okay? If it cracks and I see any of the foam that's underneath, all I'm going to do is take a little bit of diluted of this same color paint that I colored my clay with, or Model Magic with, and just touch it up. That's all I'm going to do, okay? So now to give it texture, I'm going to take a little dowel, not a dowel rod, it's a skewer stick. I can think of it, a skewer stick. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of stipple it, okay? I'm going to stipple it. Now it will look funny at first, okay? That looks really bizarre, right? But then all I'm going to do is I'm not going to take my finger because I don't want you will get like a fingerprint in the dough if you use it. So if you want to use your fingers, make sure you put like some rubber gloves on or something that doesn't have a texture to it. all I'm going to do is kind of take that stick and kind of smooth those dots back out a little bit. And I know it sounds funny. You can even take something to just kind of soften them. Okay, so look what that did. See, now it doesn't look so much like indentions with my stick. It looks like soft little bubbles that have popped in the dough as it's baked. Mary, yours has lots of cracks. Awesome. And I'm glad you said that, because I will tell you, this is not my idea, by the way. So we had a lady that had shared some ideas over in my crafting and decorating group. And hers were so cute. I thought, oh my gosh, that's perfect idea that I can do with some of these muffins, because I have tons of them. And because when I do them, I use a whole spray can of insulation foam and just make lots of different dough shapes and forms, and then I work on them later. And so I had a bunch of these little muffins already made up, and I thought, that's perfect. I'm going to give it a try. And I'm not sure what paint colors I think she painted hers maybe. And she maybe even used a little bit of the coffee grunge, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm just going to take this same brush. Now, it doesn't have much ink on it now, but what this will also do, it softens those dimples, but it also helps give it a little bit, it takes on the form of all of this bumpiness that's underneath of it, and that will make it look a little bit more like a realistic muffin as well, too. Oh, thank you, Miss Dana. Hey, Miss Debbie, how are you from Secondhand Treasures? So if you want a few more stipples to show up, you can use a little bit stiffer of a brush. I don't have a super stiff bristled brush. Well, this one's a little bit. And you can do that. See how it's giving it a little bit of texture? You could even use a toothbrush, a clean toothbrush, and get a little bit of a stippling effect too. Hey, Miss Angie. So that's kind of what I'm going with. Now, these, I didn't quite do as much on them when I set them. I just kind of got these set up earlier before we went live to kind of have something to show you in case we run out of time today. So I'm going to stipple them in a couple different spots and then go back and just kind of soften those just ever so slightly. And you can use different brushes to kind of get the look you want, okay? Now, real cornbread muffins don't have a lot of color on top, okay? You know what would even be really cute, and I had this idea a few days ago. You know those little mini terracotta pots? Have you all been to restaurants? I know there are a few restaurants that are, I don't know, somewhere within the south, southeast, southwest, or southeast, that use those little terracotta pots to actually bake their cornbread muffins in. How cute would that be? That would be adorable. But that was an idea I had. You know, that may be totally crazy for some of you, but let's see. If you sell these, I wonder how many folks, let's see, would walk up and think they're real. All right, so we're going to kind of give these more of a Thanksgiving vibe, though, because I want these to be fall feeling, right? So once I get these covered, we're going to dress them up for like fall. Hey, Miss Robin. All right, so let's go ahead and let's cover these other three really quick. I'm going to do a real quick job on those, and then I can always detail them after the live is over today. Hey, Miss Terry. Patty's Place. Okay, you're right. If you're from Kentucky, you know exactly where I was talking about. I couldn't remember if it was them or Lambert's. You know, like Lambert's Diner, or well, it's not called Lambert's Diner, I don't think. It's just called Lambert's. They actually throw their bread rolls, but I thought maybe they may have cornbread muffins that were in those terracotta pots as well. I don't know. That would be a super cute idea, and I've got a bunch of small terracotta pots that I may do that on. But I thought that would be so cute. Just depending on what look you're going for. You can go all kinds of different directions. And that's what makes it so fun, is to see what everybody creates. Now, if you create some of these, I would love for you to share your photos if you want to. I do have a crafting and decorating group that you can share your photos in. If you would like the link for that, I will, definitely let me know, and I can send it to you in the comments, okay? After we're finished later today, I can go back and respond to you. So I'm just pressing this one down to the pan. I had a little bit too much on this one, so I'm going to kind of press it up under there. Okay, so see how, ooh, this way. See where we get that little wrinkled look? Using this little brush will smooth it down to make it look more sort of like that, okay? Now, you can fuss with these all you want until you get the shape and the color just right, okay? Hey, Miss Sherry. Let's see. It's been a while. Hey, Miss Jo Helen. I know I have not seen your name in a while. I hope you're doing okay. Good to see you. And as it dries, those little stipple marks that you've made, they will soften out a little bit. But I see some of my little stipple marks are a little bit too bold. I'm going to have to soften them, smooth them down just a little bit. I don't want them to look like super obvious. Okay, press this down, and then we'll move right on to the next one. But definitely want to make sure that you don't leave any fingerprints behind, because this air dry, I keep calling it air dry clay, guys. It's Crayola's Model Magic. I don't know why my brain is not cooperating with my mouth today. But that's what you'll want. Air dry clay. And I always get the white and I just color it. If I need to color it, I color it with acrylic paint. Mix it in with the dough till you get the shade that you want. Okay, now a little section where these kind of meet in the middle is a little bit tricky to try to get the dough separated, because it wants to cling. If it touches the muffin over, it wants to touch it and cling to it. Okay, so all right, one more and then we'll finish these up. We're going to dress them up for Thanksgiving fall style, okay? And then I've got thank you, Miss Jo Helen. So good to hear that you're doing good. Let's flatten this one out, and this will be our last little muffin. But you guys have seen me make the the faux flour sacks. I was trying to combine faux and flour, and you see where that went, right? Small Village Crafter. I'm going to have to watch the replay. Oh, awesome. Awesome, Miss Betty. Glad to have you here. All right. Let's get this last one pressed down, and we'll smooth it out. I will just say I have not, I think one of the ladies who posted her cornbread muffins over in my decorating group, I believe she said she used some coffee grounds on hers to get hers colored, but I have not tried that yet. So, and I should have went back to catch her name, and I didn't. I'm so sorry. I'll have to go back afterwards, and I can share her photo here on my page later. I always love seeing what you guys are up to. So I'm just taking my little brush, going around and kind of basically just softening the edges of that dough where I have pressed it down to the pan, because I don't want it to look like I've done that. And I still have little fingerprints that are showing up. Yeah, we need to get those fingerprints off. And if your dough starts to dry before you get your fingerprints off, take a little wet wipe and smooth it down, and that will also help smooth out those fingerprints, okay? All right. Okay, you guys, I'm going to kind of skip ahead. I'm not going to finish detailing these right at the moment, okay? I want to kind of speed along so you guys can get the idea, okay? And I'll come back and I'll detail these in a little bit after we're off of camera, and then before I style them, I'll finish decorating them the way I have in my head. Okay, so to finish these off, I am going to take, I've got some fun fabric that I grabbed at Hobby Lobby. And I've already kind of torn it into strips, coffee stained. It smells amazing because it smells just like coffee and vanilla, which are so warm and cozy smells for fall. I'm trying to get another long piece here. I store my fabric strips by color. This is my orange kind of colored bag, and so I kind of store them in colors. So as I need them, I just pull out a bag, grab what I need, and good to go. I think I'm gonna kind of double this up. I don't want a huge bow, but I do want it to be able to be seen. Okay, now I still have some coloration to do on my muffins, you guys. So envision what it's going to look like when they're finished. I just want to show you the process. And to get them darker, all I'm going to do is just keep adding more of that distressed ink. And I was using the color Vintage Photo, by the way, if you want to know. Vintage Photo, you could probably even use a little bit of the walnut stain color. Either one of those should work. Well, this doesn't even have an open and close. I'm going to use, I think, a little bit of Excelsior, possibly. This is so loud, so sorry. Okay. Under my bow. This is a brand new bag. Okay. And then I'm going to use a little strip or a little stem of dried sweet Annie. I love this stuff, you guys. It's so sweet. I probably need to add another one. And it's going to look a little funny because my cornbread muffins are a little too pale right now. I've got to golden them up just a little bit more. And I could probably add a little hang tag that says thankful or happy harvest or even happy fall, something along those lines. I did have a little tag somewhere. I don't have it up here. So I'm just going to tie this. Do I want a bow or do I want to just keep it in a knot? I don't know. I kind of like the bow. We'll see. Okay. Because I have one other little step to this little process of this little vignette that I want to show you. So I'm going to keep coloring these up, grunging them up, making them look a little bit more authentic. They're a little too pale for me right now. Have a little breadboard I think is really cute. You could, you know, decorate that and stage it up with really, really cute, like that, a little wooden breadboard. You could even add a few little kitchen utensils to the side. I love doing this, you guys. Little props are just like my little toys. Use some little wooden kitchen utensils like that. Now here's where I'm pulling in some of the other items that I've shown you guys how to make probably last fall. So when you make real cornbread muffins, of course you have to have all the ingredients, right? Including, let me show you, a mixing bowl. Okay, I've got a vintage style little bowl. You could put some eggs, some faux eggs in there. Okay, put a little wooden spoon on there. Okay, just giving you ideas on how you can work this together in a display. We made a faux flour sack by printing on fabric because you need flour to make cornbread muffins. Prop that up right there with it. Might need some milk or some buttermilk. I don't have just a straight milk, but this is buttermilk. I thought this would be cute staged with it. I'll just a second, Joe Helen. They're made with the spray insulation foam as the base, just like we did with our faux pumpkin bread last week. You let that air or that foam dry and cure, and then I've just covered the top with Crayola's Model Magic with a little bit of coloring to make it the yellow golden color for cornbread, and darkened the edges with some distressed ink in the color shade Vintage Photo. And then look, we gotta have baking powder. Okay, all of these labels, I love getting them off. I use these all the time. My favorite shop on Etsy is called Chocolate Rabbit for these style. Chocolate Rabbit, and another one is Crow's Feet Boutique, B-O-O, Boutique. But I think these particular ones came from the Chocolate Rabbit shop on Etsy, okay? Now, we've got to have, if you didn't like this baking powder, look, I've even got another little jar that has baking powder. I mean, just little props that you can stage together. You could make a little cute little centerpiece to go on your kitchen island. You know, just get creative. I wanted to give a try with a actual sack, like a paper bag sack today. Because when I was looking up ideas for vintage cornmeal. Okay, cornmeal is what I'm thinking, because you need cornmeal for cornbread. I was thinking, you know, a lot of them were packaged in bags. And so I was thinking, oh man, I don't have any brown paper bags. So I kind of had to improvise here. So I've just taken a white gift bag. Now, ideally, you probably want a brown paper sack. And I have a cornmeal label that I have also found on Etsy, and printed it off. And all I've done with this sack, since it was white, I've just given it a coat of coffee and cinnamon, like instant coffee, you know, my coffee grunge mix. Grunged it up with the coffee, vanilla, and cinnamon, so it smells amazing. It's like a little potpourri sack almost. I printed the label off in white because I thought, well, it'll match my bag a little better. So I'm going to grunge this real quick. Of course, my printer was about out of ink, naturally. You know, when you want to go print something, it's always out of ink. No, I did a lot of printing last week, and I did not even think about it at the time. I've just brushed my coffee grunge over that. It's going to dry, but before it dries, I'm going to go through and I'm going to feather tear the edges of this label. And I would probably stuff this bag probably with some like dried rice or dried beans or something to give it a little bit of weight. And I'm going to Mod Podge this on the front of my bag. And this will just be another cute, sweet little prop that I can use along with my fake bakes in my kitchen and dining room areas. And this will smell amazing. You could even drop a few drops of like vanilla instant vanilla, not instant, essential oils, vanilla essential oils down in whatever filling you put in your bag. And it would be like a little air freshener. It sure would. I'm going to Mod Podge this onto the front. Now it's still a little bit damp because I'm kind of speeding the process along. Let's give it a real quick coat. Quick thin coat. On the back of this label. And I'm just going to place it right down on my bag. Now, since my bag was white to begin with and my label was white to begin with, they'll have some of the same color tones to them. Don't stick to my finger. Here we go. And I'm just going to press it down and smooth it down. Now, if I want to, what I probably will do after this dries a little bit, let me get that little drip of Mod Podge off there. This is probably not as dark of the bag as I want it to. I kind of want to grunge it up just a little bit. I'll probably take my little ink pad and go around, around the edges of that bag. Do you see that already kind of gave it some definition around the edges? So I'm going to go around and grunge that up a little bit. I'm going to give it a little bit of a filler. Okay. I'm still going to fuss with this a little bit, finish it up, style it up, and I always love sharing photos with you guys on how I style them at the end. So now I would fill this up with some filling. You could even use, cotton filling if you wanted to. And I'll probably roll down and kind of glue this top edge so that it looks like a real little grain sack or, cornmeal sack. Stage this with all of my other little props that we made today. And they will be so cute, don't you think? And, you could even give this a coat of Mod Podge to kind of seal it. I would love to see what this looks like with the brown paper bags. I just did not have any brown paper bags. I was thought, oh my gosh, I could just kick myself today. But I think that would be so cute. So cute. And it's something different because we have like the little cylinder containers that I've used before, okay? I use the jars, all the time. Just different shapes and different heights and sizes. You can mix and match and see how they all kind of still have the same color tones and it kind of lends themselves to working together with different objects. You could create like a whole little general store shelf if you really wanted to. Create a shelf in your kitchen, change them out periodically, mix and match them. Yes. Is my printer? Yes, my printer is an inkjet printer. Let's see. With the ink, dry copy. I have heard some people when they print with an inkjet printer that their ink will bleed when they put coffee grounds over it. Mine doesn't. But here's a way you can work around that. Once you print your label on the paper, take a heat tool and heat set the ink before you apply the coffee grunge, okay? That should work. Now my printer was running out of ink, so you can even tell the top of mine is more black than the bottom. It kind of faded. I thought, hey, I'm just gonna roll with it. Thank you, Miss Gwen. So yeah, stuff this with a little bit of stuffing or filling. Give it a little bit of weight at the bottom with some dried beans or dried rice. And this will be just another little cute little prop that you can add with all of your other little pieces that we have worked on in the past. Let's see. Okay, Kim, this is just a regular white gift bag. Okay, it's a gift bag. And it's probably like 5 inches wide by maybe 8 or 9 inches tall, maybe. A white gift bag. Literally, all I did is I went to my kitchen over the sink, I opened the bag, and I held it over my hand. I took my coffee grunge mix, okay, and with a sponge brush, and all I did was I just coated it. It will get soft, and you'll think, oh my gosh, it's going to break on me. Nope, it won't. If you're really gentle with it, it won't. Just give it a coating just like that, okay? And then to let it dry, just hung it to dry, and then it will stiffen up and get hard again once it dries. That's literally all I did, right? And you can do that same method several times to get it darker if you want it darker. But what I found is it also kind of gives that paper that wrinkled feeling like it's been around for ages. So even if you used a brown paper sack, you probably wouldn't already, you wouldn't get that feel if you didn't do this method to it. But yeah, isn't that cool? And you can, once it's dry, if you wanted to seal it, just give it a coat of Mod Podge, and that will stiffen it up and help preserve it even more. But, excuse me. But this gives it an amazing smell, and it just soaks it right up. And so anywhere you set this, you're gonna have that soft, subtle aroma of the coffee and the vanilla and the cinnamon. And then just stuff it and secure it at the top. Is that not adorable? Adorable. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. The baking powder. Oh, let me show you this one. This was an oatmeal Quaker Oats container, and I just spray painted it and used a black distress ink, just kind of like these, only black, to kind of grunge it up around the edges. That's all I did, and Mod Podge the label line. All right, thanks for tuning in. We have another crafter coming up live over in the Craft on the Clock group. Go check them out. We have live crafting every day, Monday through Friday for sure, early morning to late at night. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you again soon. Bye, guys.